foul him. And they do. He got it. He fouled him. Garrett takes shot. Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah!
Bro, wake up. Wake up, I'm telling you. Wake up right now. What? What's wrong with you, man? It's like 6 in the morning. The trade, man. The trade is in trouble. What trade? Which trade you talking about? The Toronto trade, man. Kawhi, it's falling apart. Nah, stop playing with me this early. We back, y'all. And yes, that includes you fanboys, who already got your fingers ready to type something in the comments before I even get through the intro.
Crowd still here hoping for a miracle. Also here to cheer on. Leonard makes it official.
So check this out. I'm sitting here minding my own business, and I see this headline pop up talking about Kawhi Leonard and this Raptors trade situation. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, didn't we already cover this? Didn't this trade already get agreed on like back in June? Brandon Ingram going to the Clippers, Gradey Dick going with him, a whole stack of draft picks heading to LA, Kawhi heading back up to Toronto to run it back with the Raptors. I thought this was already a done deal, man. I thought we already moved past this. So why is it back in my feed? Why is this trending again in the middle of August like it's brand new information? So you already know what I had to do. I had to click it. I had to get in there and see what's really going on. Because when something that's supposed to be finished starts trending again months later, that usually means somebody messed something up. And I start reading, and I'm seeing words like, on hold.
Circumvention case involving the Los Angeles Clippers and Kawhi Leonard. This week, ESPN...
I'm seeing words like, investigation. I'm seeing the word voided contract, just sitting there in the middle of the article like it ain't a big deal. Voided contract, bro. That's not a small phrase. That's not something you just read past and keep scrolling. That's the type of phrase that makes agents lose sleep at night. So I keep digging, because y'all know as a YouTuber you gotta be nosy a little bit. You can't just read one headline and start making assumptions. And what I'm finding out is this whole trade, the one everybody already accepted as basically official back in June, it's been sitting in limbo this entire time because of an investigation into whether the Clippers were circumventing salary cap rules. And apparently, the Raptors are the ones who are supposed to be taking on the risk if any penalties come down. We talking possible suspension. We talking about the contract getting voided completely. So let me get this straight. Kawhi agrees to go back to Toronto. Everybody's happy. Raptors fans are already planning the parade.
Still loose. Anunoby picks it up. Under 5 to play. Brunson looks. Brunson drives. Brunson shoots. Ties the game.
Out in their head. And then out of nowhere, the deal just stalls out because of paperwork and cap rules that got nothing to do with anything that happens on the actual basketball court. Man, this is exactly the type of stuff I need to break down for y'all, because there's a lot of layers to this one, and I already know some of y'all are gonna have strong opinions once we get into it. Let's talk about how this deal was actually supposed to look, because when you really break it down, this ain't no small trade. Toronto agreed to send Brandon Ingram, Gradey Dick, 2 unprotected first-round picks, a pick swap, and 2 second-round picks just to get Kawhi Leonard back in a Raptors jersey. That's not a rental. That's not a let's see how it goes type of package. That's a franchise saying, we are all in, we are betting the house, we don't care what it costs, we want this man back. And think about the story behind it too, because this ain't Kawhi's first rodeo with Toronto. This is the same city where he led them to a championship back in 2019. Same city where he averaged basically 29 points a game in the finals and walked out with a finals MVP trophy like it was nothing. So when this trade got agreed to back in June, it wasn't just a business transaction, it was a reunion. It was a let's run it back moment. Raptors fans were already pulling up old highlights, already dusting off the jerseys, already acting like the parade was scheduled for October. And then, silence. Weeks go by, months go by, and instead of Kawhi putting on a Raptors jersey for a photo shoot, we got an investigation sitting in the middle of the whole thing.
And now taking it away is Green. Lead pass Lowry to the trailing Leonard, and the easy bucket. What I tell you?
Like an uninvited guest that showed up to the wedding and won't leave. You ever plan something for months, get everybody excited, send out the invites, book the venue, and then 2 days before it happens, somebody hits you with, hold on, we might have to push this back. That empty feeling in your stomach? That's exactly what Raptors fans been sitting with since July. Because this deal is basically frozen while the league figures out whether the Clippers were circumventing salary cap rules this entire time. Now here's where it gets even more interesting, because it's not just a maybe this gets delayed a little bit situation. We talking about actual penalties on the table. Suspension. Contract getting voided completely. And get this, it's not even the Clippers who's supposed to be holding that risk once the trade goes through. It's Toronto. So Toronto is sitting here basically agreeing to inherit somebody else's mess, just to get their guy back. That's like buying a used car from somebody, and after you already signed the papers, they tell you, oh, by the way, if the cops ever pull this car over, you're the one who's going to jail for what the last owner did with it. You'd be sitting there like, wait, hold on, I didn't do anything. Why am I the one facing consequences for a situation I wasn't even part of? And that's basically the position the Raptors are in right now. They didn't do anything wrong. They just wanted their guy back. But because of how this cap circumvention situation is playing out, they're the ones stuck holding the risk if this whole thing blows up in everybody's face. So when I see that headline saying Kawhi Leonard destroyed the trade, I gotta be honest with y'all, it's not really him swinging the wrecking ball here. It's this investigation that's doing all the damage. But at the same time, y'all already know how this league works. When your name is attached to the controversy, people gonna say you destroyed it regardless of whose fault it actually is. Now let's get into the part that's really got people going. Because once this news started spreading, the reactions online got ugly real fast. And a lot of it circles back to the same thing people always bring up whenever Kawhi Leonard's name comes up in a headline. The injury history, the load management, the will he actually be available conversation that's been following this man around for years now. Because here's the thing, this ain't the first time Kawhi's name got attached to a situation where people question whether it's actually worth the risk. Man's had a whole career of being one of the most dominant two-way players the league has ever seen. But every single time, there's an asterisk sitting right next to his name. The if healthy tag, a when he actually suits up disclaimer. So now you add an investigation on top of that, a possible suspension on top of that, a voided contract sitting on the table as an actual possibility, and you already know what the internet gonna do with that combination. I'm seeing comments calling this whole situation cursed. I'm seeing people saying Toronto should run away from this deal completely, cap rules or not, because why are you taking on legal risk for a guy who might not even be available for half the season anyway? I even saw somebody compare it to buying a car that already got a check engine light on before you even drive it off the lot, and paying full price for it anyway. And look, I get where that frustration's coming from. If I'm a Raptors fan, and I already sat through years of, is Kawhi playing tonight, being a genuine question mark during his Clippers years, the idea of taking on additional risk just to get him back, that's a lot to swallow. That's asking fans to trust a situation that's already shown them it can go sideways before. But here's my problem with how fast people are jumping to write this whole thing off. Y'all remember when a relationship goes through one rough patch, and suddenly everybody around you acting like the whole thing was doomed from the start? Like, nah, hold on, one complicated stretch doesn't erase everything good that came before it. This is a guy who's won 2 championships with 2 different franchises, who's got a Finals MVP trophy sitting in his house from the exact city they're trying to send him back to. That's not nothing. That's not a guy you just throw away because the paperwork got messy. And let's talk about the timeline here too, because people acting like this investigation just appeared out of nowhere, like it's some brand new problem. Nah, this deal's been sitting on hold since July. We talking about almost 2 months now of uncertainty, 2 months of Raptors fans checking their phone every single day hoping for an update, 2 months of this trade sitting in basketball purgatory while lawyers and league officials sort through cap rules that the average fan doesn't even fully understand. That's a long time to sit in limbo, man. That's a long time to not know if the guy you thought you already got is actually walking through the door or not. And with training camp coming up in September, that clock is ticking louder every single day. This thing stays unresolved. So yeah, the backlash makes sense on the surface. But before we completely write this off as some cursed, doomed situation, we gotta remember, we've seen deals get stuck in limbo before and still come out the other side just fine. Because look, we've been saying this for weeks now, man. We've been telling y'all not to fully celebrate this trade until Kawhi actually got that Raptors jersey on for real, actually stepped foot on that court in an actual regular season game. Y'all remember? Back when this trade first got announced in June, half the comment section was already measuring Kawhi for a championship ring, already planning out the starting lineup, acting like the whole thing was a done deal the second the headline dropped. And I remember saying, slow down, y'all. Slow down a little bit, because anytime you're dealing with cap rules, anytime you're dealing with league investigations, anytime money and paperwork get involved at this level, things can stall out fast. I wasn't saying it was going to fall apart completely, but I was saying don't measure that ring finger just yet. And here we are, almost 2 months later, and the deal's still sitting frozen while lawyers argue about salary cap circumvention. So yeah, I told y'all to pump the brakes a little bit, and it's looking like that caution was worth having. But anyway, let's talk about something that don't get brought up enough when we discussing this man. And that's just how quiet this brother is in general. Because you know Kawhi don't talk. Like, at all. This man could win a championship, get handed the trophy, and give an interview shorter than most people's grocery lists. It was a good team win. That's it. That's the whole interview. Cut to commercial. I swear this man's press conferences feel like they're being timed with a stopwatch. Reporter asks a 5-part question, breaks it down with full context, sets up the whole scenario, and Kawhi just looks at him and goes, yeah. One word, and everybody in that room just sitting there like, okay, I guess that's all we getting today, pack it up. And then that laugh, man, that laugh is legendary at this point. You've heard it, I've heard it, everybody's heard it at least once, because somebody clipped it and turned it into a meme. That laugh doesn't sound like a normal human laugh. It sounds like somebody discovered laughing for the very first time and is still figuring out the mechanics of it. Like his body knows something's funny, but the delivery system needs a firmware update. I be imagining what Kawhi's reaction is going to be to all this trade drama, all this investigation stuff, all these headlines about voided contracts and suspensions. Man's probably sitting at home, phone buzzing non-stop with notifications, agent calling every hour with updates, and Kawhi's just sitting there like, it is what it is. No panic, no emotion, no dramatic Instagram post, nothing. Meanwhile, the entire basketball world is losing their mind over whether this trade survives. And this man's probably watching a nature documentary with the volume all the way down, completely unbothered. That's the funniest part about this whole situation to me. The fun guy nickname stuck for a reason, but it's not because he's out here cracking jokes every day. It's because that dry, deadpan, almost robotic energy he brings to everything is genuinely hilarious once you notice it. Man could announce his own retirement with the same tone he'd use to order a sandwich. But real talk, that same quiet, unbothered energy is probably exactly what's keeping him sane through all this trade uncertainty. Because if this was a guy who needed everything resolved immediately, who needed constant clarity, this whole limbo situation would be eating him alive. Instead, from everything being reported, Kawhi and the Raptors are still operating like this thing is getting done. Quiet confidence, even when the paperwork says otherwise. But look, I want to hear from y'all on this one, because I already know the comment section about to be split on this. Let me know in the comments, do y'all think this trade actually gets completed before training camp starts in September? Or do y'all think this investigation ends up killing the whole deal completely? Because I got my opinion, but I want to see where y'all land on this. And another thing, if this deal does fall apart, who's the one that actually takes the biggest hit here? Is it Kawhi, who loses his shot at running it back in Toronto? Is it the Raptors, who already started planning their whole season around getting him? Or is it the Clippers, who already moved on mentally and might end up stuck in the middle of this mess too? Let me know in the comments section. One more thing before I let y'all go. If you were a Raptors fan right now, would you still want this trade to go through knowing there's actual risk attached to it? Suspension, voided contract, all of it? Or would you rather Toronto just walk away clean and build around what they already got? Drop your answer below. I really want to see this debate play out. Because at the end of the day, this is bigger than just basketball. This is a franchise willing to take on legal risk just to reunite with a guy who already gave them a championship once before. That's not a normal business decision. That's a franchise betting on nostalgia, betting on history, betting on the idea that lightning can strike twice in the same city with the same guy. And whether this deal survives, or whether it completely collapses under the weight of this investigation, one thing's for sure, this is one of the strangest sagas we've seen in this league in a long time. A trade that got agreed on, celebrated, and then frozen solid for almost 2 months while everybody just sits around waiting for an answer. Make sure y'all hit me with the comments on this one. This is a conversation I genuinely want to see play out. Make sure y'all hype the video up if you're just as invested in this situation as I am. And if you're new here, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, because we breaking down stories like this all the time. It's your boy, and I'm out this thing.